TXM Group is a global business. We turn over £220 million around the globe. We have offices here in the UK, and we're founded here in Milton Keynes. We extend out to the Middle East in Dubai, Australia, and over to the United States. Here present today, we have our other UK-based recruitment businesses in TXM Technology, Provide, and Healthcare. And it's really useful actually having healthcare here because they've actually been through these changes some 2.5 years ago. So our journey actually started in preparation for IR35 as a group some 3 years ago. We're quite fortunate that our back office is a shared back office. So the group of companies around the globe all use our same finance, management information, management accounts, HR, and payroll team. So we're 3 years into this, but our journey in the private sector started a couple of months ago. And I've just explained the 8 elements that we've been doing over the last few months. So firstly, on the top left, we partnered with Osborne Clarke. We've had an association with Francis Lewis and Osborne Clarke for well over 10 years. So we've been through changes in agency worker regulations, through to CIS, changing contractual terms, and now we're on to IR35. So our relationship extends extensively. And we feel they're the best in the business. Their fees certainly dictate that as well, but they definitely are. So we feel we've got the best, and really pleased they're here today. The second part is creating a dedicated IR35 team. Amongst the last 20 years I've been in the industry now, I'd probably say, and I think it's a shared consensus, that this is the single biggest change and impact for certainly our end clients and us that has come upon us in recent times. So with that in mind, and also looking at the experiences in the public sector, we felt giving and aligning a dedicated account team and a project team to this was absolutely right. The lessons learned from the public sector implementation has been really, really useful to know. In summary, I think our colleagues in healthcare would say the industry just wasn't prepared. There were no seminars going on, there was no information going out, so they were definitely the trailblazers, and we're thankful we're coming 2 years later, I must admit. Part of this process is data collection, data analysis. So we conducted a real deep dive into our contractor workforce right across the group some 2 months ago. And with that data, we understood the engagement models, statuses of our entire 2,500 plus contractor workforce. We then gave that data into Osborne Clarke, who further analysed it and came to us with a workshop. We had a 7-hour workshop, quite intensive, but all our leadership team across our group were there. So 1, we could understand the legislation, and 2, really where we were as a business. So before we could come out and talk to everybody else within our clients and contractor market, we needed to know where we were at. Following on from that, we got a detailed report from Francis, and then we conducted a number of internal workshops, internal training programs, so our consultants in our businesses were actually completely up to speed with things. So that's been really useful right across the board. Most recently, we've conducted a survey, both with our contractors and our clients, and the results have been, well, it's opened our eyes a little bit. Some have been surprising, some as what we would expect, and I'll just run through a few of those slides shortly. We've also created an IR35 hub. If you look in your books and also on the tables, there's a card with the actual web link attached to it. I don't think information will start and finish today. It's a continual evolving process right up until April and beyond. So what we've done is created this hub where our clients can go to go and seek industry reports. They can see process mapped out. They can obtain more information about what the legislation is post today. And there will also be some video clips from today, so my children will be pleased that I've become a YouTuber, I should expect. And lastly, brings us today, we've invited our clients here today. When we first muted it, people raised their eyebrows and said, you're crazy bringing all your clients together in one room when they will often compete out there in the real world. Well, yes, no, maybe. I think collaboration on this is absolutely vital. We as a group have been working across all our businesses together, even though we're in different sectors. This is going to affect us all. I think working together is actually the best route forward. So let's have a look at some of the survey results. We had 247 people respond fully to the survey. So that's given us a real good core piece of data to actually analyse and look at. When analysing our contractor workforce, 91% of our entire workforce were paid via their own personal service company, PSC. This is actually, this trend, if you will, is very, very common in the recruitment marketplace. Having looked at some of our competitors in the market who have actually published some of their surveys on IR35 already, our results are almost identical to theirs. So it's no surprise that the most favoured route for contractors in the UK recruitment market is to be paid by their own personal service company. Therefore meaning that they have a direct impact with what's going to come 6th of April. And lastly, the tenure of our contractors. And this becomes an important part as we move towards the end of this year, where contracts will often be extended for 12 months on a regular basis. The average tenure of our contractors on a singular assignment is 14 months. Therefore meaning we need to be in a position, certainly by Christmas, as a collective, to have our assessments and process in place. We can't leave it until the last week of March and first week of April is what was seen across the public sector. So some of these results, we asked a few questions to our contractors. The answer normally was back, will I get a pay rise? But we weren't actually going along those routes at the time. We were actually wanting to ascertain their understanding. First question was, do you yourself consider yourself inside or outside IR35 on your current assignment? Unsurprisingly, the vast majority had no idea, in truth, and that will be a common theme throughout all the surveys that we've conducted, is that there's an enormous amount of uncertainty and, if I will, lack of knowledge, and that is across our clients and our contractors, particularly in our contractors. The next one we asked, do you understand the actual effects? Well, I think it's clear to see that 90% either didn't understand or had no knowledge whatsoever. 90% of our contractor workforce. This is a fundamental change to the way people engage and be deployed in contract assignments. The next question we had was, where have you obtained your information? Where have you sought your advice effectively? Again, a high proportion, 61%, had zero information, zero. And I guess the previous statistics, the surveys, the numbers that we've just seen tells you the need to actually inform our people, to actually create an IR35 information hub whereby our contractors can go. We also will be building a communication plan that will enable our contractors to actually see us in face-to-face in person, meaning we'll actually be able to educate and inform our contractors what is actually coming, what's the impending legislation and the challenges we're going to have. And then one of the last ones was, for me it's a little bit of a red herring, but I think it's quite relevant. We had a large proportion, 76% of our contractors who didn't believe there'd be any change come the 6th of April with their current assignment. Our data is suggesting somewhat different to that, almost flipping the actual percentages, but they believe the status quo would remain. We also sent out a series of questions to our clients. Again, really, really interesting results that came back. The first questions we were asking, what proportion, what percentage of your existing workforce did you feel would fall inside IR35 post 6th of April? Again, the majority, 39%, believe that somewhere between 1 to 20% of their contract workforce would fall inside. Okay, our belief it might have been the other way, actually. Only 17% believe that the majority of their workforce would fall into the 80 to 100% bracket. The next question we asked was to you and a whole variety of our client base was, do you understand it? Quite a simple question, do you understand it? A combined total of 96%, very open and honest, didn't actually understand it at all or fully understand it. So I think that just reinforces the need for events such as today. It reinforces the need for us to continue to communicate and create some of the IR35 information hubs that we've put together. So there's a complete lack of understanding that we need to address, and hopefully today will be the first part of that. The people who did reply also indicated the areas where they received information, where they received advice. Again, majority was from their own people's own research. I think social media, in particular LinkedIn, has been really, really active in this space. I don't think there's a day that goes by I see reports or videos or PowerPoints running through that are informing people about the legislation. But I don't think it addresses the direct impact to your individual business, and I think that's the most important thing. There is other areas where people have sought advice from other recruitment business and financial or legal advisors too. But the vast majority of our client base suggested that their research and advice had come off their own back. And then finally, I think most people here from a client side will be thinking, what are the risks? What are the risks? What should I be worried about? And with Osborne Clark and Gary Mowbray, they've explained what they are and what the solutions and what you need to do to prepare for 6th of April. The biggest risk, most of you said, was cost, which is unsurprising. Cost is an impact to any business, and we do appreciate with any changes, cost is also always a factor in any risk associated to your business. 28% of you thought the actual loss of resource and therefore the impact on your workload and your business could be affected. This was probably the biggest surprise for me and us when we discussed it earlier this week. There was only 3 people thought there'd be a tax risk. And I'll let Francis explain what the risk is when it comes to tax. And 3 of you thought the lack of knowledge was also a concern and a risk. Again, to reiterate, events like today and the information hubs will actually be able to alleviate that concern and worry from the likes of our clients. So that's me done with just an introduction, an overview, what we have done as a group, what our contractors have said, and also what our clients have said.